We'll now proceed to consideration of Scott Amendment 3 to S559.
The underlying bill authorizes $15.7 billion over the next 7 years and increases the current levels by $130 million for the Fire Administration and $343 million for the fire grants programs, for a total increase of about $500 million. The overall program is about $15 billion, because this is, not an inconsequential amount of money in an era where we have over $1 trillion budgets. I'd like to replace the Scott Amendment with a second-degree amendment, which would be identical to the language of Paul Amendment 3. Paul Amendment 3 is the vaccine amendment, and earlier,
Just hold for a moment.
well, I still have the debate time. I'm still arguing my case. So earlier, the chair replaced my amendment with a secondary amendment, because they were playing basically a legislative sort of prank on the American public, so the other side wouldn't have to vote directly on a vaccine amendment. So basically, we will do exactly the same thing and offer a second-degree amendment to the Scott Amendment. And this amendment will be my Amendment 3, which says that fire houses that fired people for vaccines would not be eligible for grants. We request a recorded vote.
I also have a second-degree amendment, and I recognize myself to offer a second-degree amendment. My second-degree amendment would direct GAO to issue an audit of the U.S. Fire Administration
Point of inquiry.
within 3 years of enactment to continue improving control.
Point of inquiry.
Yes, go ahead.
We have unlimited second-degree amendments?
We have a second-degree amendment. I've recognized myself for my second-degree amendment.
Your second-degree amendment to a second-degree amendment. So
No, it's a second-degree amendment is being offered to the Scott Amendment.
No, I already called up a second-degree amendment to the Scott Amendment.
You can't call it up, Senator. Only the chair can call it up.
Well, I was recognized to call it up the same way we have recognized for every other amendment. You recognized me and I called it up.
You were recognized to call up for a vote. Only a chair can do that.
Well, I was recognized to introduce an amendment, and I introduced a second-degree amendment. I don't know how you can stop that or decide that the rules are that you can do unlimited
chair can call up
second-degree.
the amendments as the chair sees fit, and my second-degree amendment is being called up.
After my second-degree amendment had already been called up. So you're offering
not been called
you're
up.
offering a third-degree amendment.
It had not been called up.
Well, sure you are.
I am offering an amendment to the Scott Amendment.
If this is the way you're going to run the committee, I would suggest that the Republicans leave. I don't see why we should stick around if you're going to make up the rules. I mean, you're
These
going to
are not
offer a
rules.
third-degree amendment?
Mr. Chairman.
These are not.
Chair.
Senator Sinema.
Mr. Chair, might I humbly suggest that we can work through these procedural issues to take all of the votes. And I would just suggest we all take a couple minutes, lower the temperature, and just figure out what the procedure is and follow it. There's no need for us to turn this committee hearing into a partisan, ugly place like we've seen in other committees. We don't need to do that.
This is the first time we've had a hearing since I've been here that I know of where we've gotten second-degree amendments on every one of our amendments to avoid voting on the amendment. So we simply have done the same thing by offering a second-degree amendment to the Scott Amendment. It was offered from this microphone after I was recognized to offer it, and now they're going back on it and trying to change the rules. I, for one, won't stay here and would recommend that no Republicans stay here if we're going to have a third-degree amendment that only the majority gets to
Well,
offer.
Senator Paul, might I suggest that we just take a moment, ask those who understand the rules of the committee to just explain it to all of us, and then we'll follow them. We don't have to escalate this to a situation where folks are walking out. We can just ask folks who can explain the rules to us, and then we'll follow them. I think
Who
we
will
could
we
do
ask?
that.
Just the majority staff?
No, let's consult with folks. I mean, the rules of the committee are written down. We can follow them. I just don't think that we don't need to escalate this to to become a spectacle. Everyone can have their votes, and we can move forward.
I recognize myself for a second-degree amendment that would direct the GAO to issue an audit of the U.S. Fire Administration within 3 years of enactment to continue and improve congressional oversight. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting this bill, or this amendment. If there's no further debate on the amendment, the question is on its adoption. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Majority of members present having voted in the affirmative, the second-degree amendment is agreed to.
But, Mr. Chairman, we were just voting on your secondary amendment. Could I be recorded as a no?
Yes, Senator Hawley be recorded as a no. And Senator Langford is a no. Okay, now I go here. No. Which no? If there's no further debate on Scott 1, the question is on its adoption as modified by the Peters second-degree amendment. All those in favor? Or Scott Meeks, Scott 3, I'm sorry. If there's no further debate on Scott Amendment number 3, the question is on its adoption as modified by the Peters second-degree amendment. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. No. Senator Langford is recognized as a no. Senator Hawley. The majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the amendment is agreed to. We will now move to final passage. If there's no further debate or amendment, the question is on final passage of S559 as amended. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed will say nay. The majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the ayes have it. The bill is reported favorably. Does any member wish to be recognized for any final comments? If not, this business meeting stands adjourned.